Warning, the following may contain gelflings. Join fantasy authors Phil Tucker, Timandra Whitecastle, David Benem, Benedict Patrick, and Josiah Bancroft as they roll dice and take on the bad guys in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. 5 authors, 5 worlds, 1 adventure. It's time to get crit-faced. Previously on Crit-Faced, having struck a deal with Jenny Greenteeth, the party finally move on, seeking the Wizards of Wines Winery.
What's the plan, guys?
That went really poorly. I think we should not talk to any more strangers. And how are you guaranteeing people money? We have no money.
I didn't guarantee
Well, you have a song to write her, and with 3 days to write it, she may expect a concept album.
Do you know? I think she will, and I am tired of pulling your fat out of the fire. I am always the one taking it on the chin for this group, and I don't know if I feel inspired. So I think we should find some more money to give that very strange woman.
Well, there may be money at the Wizard wine shop.
And you might be inspired by a cup of wine or 2.
Or 5.
I do like you, Master Suna. No, I'm not drinking with you, sir. Giving away 500 gold for nothing.
At what point, you know what? Arguing with you, my good fellow, is like trying to beat a hole at an arm wrestling fight. Let's proceed.
So I think we go south, is that right?
That's right.
Well,
Just
at the
south
moment,
of Crescent.
Yep. At the moment, the asphaltic road that you're on just heads off west. That's the direction that Jenny has headed off in. But she did mention that there would be a fork in the road soon.
We head to it.
So we follow Jenny?
So I don't know if you remember the road that you've been travelling along. It has been a wee bit confusing because there's been a lot of dirt paths off it, like some to the north, some to the south recently, and it's been very difficult to decide. There's not been any markings or anything, so a bit difficult to decide what to choose. However, if you continue to head west, and I'm going to assume this is a little while after Jenny set off, so she's now lost in the mists ahead of you, you do actually reach a weather-worn signpost, which has 3 arms on it, and the roads that you're on, there are 3 branches of the road. The one you've just travelled along, there's one heading north, and then one heading southwest. And of course, just as Jenny told you, the arm of the signpost pointing north reads Crescent. And through the woods, you can see there's a stone bridge sort of arching over a river just up to the north. You've just travelled along the road from Vallaki, believe it or not. And southwest, it reads the Wizard of Wines, and the road slopes downwards in that direction.
I always like sloping downward roads.
Yes.
It makes it so much easier.
Yeah,
I agree.
Must be a sign.
Let's go.
Let us proceed to the winery.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, just out of interest, since it's been a while since we've spoken about this kind of thing, the road, it's quite a sizable road. I think the 2 wagons could probably ride side by side down this path. Is there any particular way that you are travelling? Was there a kind of marching order, or are you just sort of gambling along randomly?
That's an innocent question.
Such an innocent question.
I feel like Jean is at the rear, and he's trying to engage Master Suna in conversation about the varieties of wine grapes, but she doesn't know her Nebbiolo from her Barbera, and so we're getting nowhere.
It's absolutely true.
What?
I would say that the barbarian would be up front. Lord Talfrin would then come in second, followed by Master Suna, and then the roguish rapscallion fellow who keeps following us.
And saving the day.
Okay. All right. So we're just heading down in that kind of order then, is that right?
Yes.
Or we could do Wizard of Wines style, arms linked.
And skipping.
There's no one in this troop that I want to link arms with, I'm afraid to say.
Not even Master Suna?
No, she's like a sister to me, or an old aunt.
Not who could chop off your arm.
The sisters where you're from?
I'm sorry. It's nuns.
I can tell that you are very, very popular among the women.
I was. As long as I had money for some reason. But yes, I was very popular.
Yeah. And that's why you
brilliant.
also wear women's clothes.
You pick up a trick or two.
So, let's continue. So guys, after travelling for about half a mile, the Svatic Road, it narrows, and it becomes a muddy trail that just starts to meander through the woods instead. So you get the impression that it's certainly not as well kept as the road that you've been used to walking since leaving Vallaki. And it continues to go down out of the sort of higher land that you've been into, and eventually the trees part, revealing a mist-shrouded meadow that you're now walking through. A little bit longer, and we're past midday now. The trail, the sort of dirt trail that you're on, splits. So one branch heads west into this sort of valley that you're into, where the meadow sort of dominates, and the other branch heads south, where the meadow ends soon, and there's dark woods down to the south. So there's a signpost here at the intersection, and it points to the west, and it simply reads Vineyard.
Ooh. That sounds promising.
Yes. Yes. I have a powerful thirst. I say we go to the vineyard.
I examined the post. Has it been messed with or meddled, like turned around?
You want to take an investigation check?
Sure. Investigation +1. My forte. An 11.
Okay. You certainly feel that it's been quite a few years since any attention has been paid to this signpost. So you get the impression it's certainly been pointing that way for quite a while.
Fair enough.
So
Let us head west.
I have to say, I feel like I've sampled many wines, but I've never seen a vineyard. Is this normal? Has anyone been to a vineyard before? I mean, it's like we have milk, but I've never seen a cow. That sort of thing.
I'd imagine that it varies by land.
So you would think that this feels safe to everyone? We're not going to get eaten? Everyone
As
feels
a
good?
barbarian, I can tell you this seems perfectly normal for a vineyard.
Okay, that's just what I just need to be reassured because it's been I keep getting stabbed. So all right, let's go.
Okay, so we're heading
Very
west.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, and what was the other side? There was any other directions?
The road heads south to a forest, but there's no signpost in that direction.
Could someone else just take a look at this signpost? I feel like it's a good thing, but
Okay.
I want to make sure that we're not being randomly set out by someone who wishes to ambush
Is
us.
anyone very good at investigating?
Try anyway. You may find a little
Okay,
lucky.
all right. I'll roll. I'm going to have a look. I am not going to have a look. I'm going to.
Lie down.
Yes, I've been caught picking my nose.
I'll have a look.
I will also not have a look.
Okay.
You guys are
I'll
great
have a
heroes.
look. I'll have a look if an 11 means anything.
No,
No,
it's-
No, we've already had that.
I mean, guys, it really does. As far as you can tell, it's an old signpost. I know you've seen one recently that's been broken. This one certainly isn't broken. And looking at the earth around it, or even the writing on it, it looks like it's been here seen a good few seasons here already. It's not worn away
Well, I give
or
it-
anything like that, but it's it doesn't look like it's
I give it a good rap with my walking stick. Does it shriek or anything?
No, there's no shrieking.
All right. Well, that was my last test. In that case,
very strange test, sir. You go around wrapping things and see if they shriek. Is that really? Is this a wizard thing?
it is.
Oh, well, I'm going to start trying it.
You might hurt yourself. Be careful. I lead the way west.
Okay.
We stab westward.
I assume we're all happy enough to follow. So, guys, as we continue, a light drizzle begins to fall. You're walking along the trail. There's unpainted fences. start to appear on either side of the trail, and you realise that this path that you're on skirts north of a sprawling vineyard that's it sort of descends into the fog to the south of you. You can't see the end of it, basically. And the road eventually begins to bend south, and you can see that there's a stately building in the distance. The fog around you takes on ghostly forms as it swirls between the neatly tended rows of grapevines. You can even see a few buckets, with rope handles on them that are obviously normally used for hauling grapes. Now, as the trail takes this bend to the north, there is a large copse of trees, and you can see a man standing there. He's wearing a dark cloak and with a cowl pulled over his head, and he beckons for you to come to him.
Fireball.
No.
No?
You're second in line. Don't throw fireballs or hit McGrag.
All right. Well, then, Jean, I believe you should go up and see what that fellow wants. We'll all wait for you down here.
Oh. Master Sinner, will you accompany me? You have an actual weapon.
Yes, let's go see what this stranger wants from us.
Okay, and have that firebolt on the ready. Yes, all right.
So Jean and Master Summer, you're heading up to the dude. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we say he is about 100 feet away from where you guys are on the path. When you guys close about half the distance towards him, 3 more figures step from the woods to stand beside him, and they are similarly clothed with these sort of cloaks around them.
Hello, we are here to sample your finest wine. I'm a Petit Syrah man, but I do like a good Carignan, and I will choke down a Pinot. So show us to your cheese room, good sir.
And the one who is beckoning towards you, he instantly becomes on edge at the sound of your voice, and you can see from his hand gestures, he's making lowering hand gestures. Definitely not that Jean has ever seen this sign before, but you get the impression somebody's telling you to be quiet with their body language.
So, do you want us to lay down? Are we to lay down here?
So one of the figures just puts their hand on their face, and you can see they're starting to look very nervous now.
Oh, I think they're nervous about something, Master Sun.
Yes, I think maybe we should quietly proceed towards them.
And maybe they can't hear me. I should shout a little louder.
No,
and they beckon again. In fact, 2 more. There's now 5 of them there, just outside the copse of trees, and the newcomers point to Lord Talfrin and Kellen, and they're also beckoning for you guys. And you can see there's quite a bit of urgency in their hand movements.
Kellen, I think you should come up. They're telling us all to come up.
And now the first guy just puts his hands on his temples, and you can see him shaking his head. Like,
Lord Talfrin is quite caught up in sampling the grapes.
But could Lord Talfrin maybe do an Arcana check? Because something's obviously disturbing these people. Maybe it has to do with the fog.
I could in character see me doing maybe like a nature check for the grapes, but I'm pretty preoccupied with it.
Well, see, Lord Talfrin, you're actually having a look for the grapes, and there's not a lot on the vines that's worth your time.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, it is, and the few grapes that you are able to find are small and withered and bitter.
Ooh.
Oh, anything raisin?
Well, I sort of, my head hooks up like a prairie dog who's sensed something is amiss, and I peer around the different rows, and I sort of take a sniff, and I examine the fog a little more closely, and I get an 18 on an Arcana check.
On an Arcana check?
Is anything off? Magical? Afoot?
No, there's not. So you got a 17. There's definitely nothing. An 18. There's definitely nothing magical affecting these grapes. You do get the impression it's more an absence of magic that you're sensing, which you can't quite put your finger on. You get the impression that this is an area that is. It's absent magic that it has normally that basically all the life within it is used to. There's something lacking here more than anything else, is what you can sense.
Like some sort of natural blessing has been removed.
Something like that, yes.
I shoot off a sort of a test firebolt to see if it affects my magic.
So where are you shooting the fireball?
Okay.
I'll just lob it off. I got a 45-degree angle up into the fog.
Up into the fog. I mean, your fireball works absolutely fine. You don't see any difference. But the guy from the trees just gives up and just shouts at the top of his voice, "In the name of the Morning Lord, will you stop the carry on and get in here quick before they see you?"
What? I turn around and say, yes, you should have said that you wanted my attention. Everything seems to be a little off here, I say as I make my way up. The grapes seem to be absent, and there's something more, like some natural blessing in the land. I stop and I pick up some dirt and rub it between my fingers and sniff it.
Right.
Yeah, something is definitely awry.
So as you guys approach the five figures there, you can see that the cloaks that they're wearing have they're basically black cloaks with speckles of white on them, and you start to notice a few feathers on these guys as well, and eventually you put two and two together. When you look at their sort of faces, you can notice the family resemblance. These must be some of the Martikovs, related to Erwin, who you met all the way back in the Blue Water Inn, and the guy who was beckoning to you. Were magpies, that's right. And the guy who is beckoning to you, sort of a man in his mid-30s, perhaps, could be early 40s if he's well preserved, and he says, "You stop making any attention to yourself. Get in here so we can have a proper talk to you about why you should leave here now."
So you aren't the Vintners.
Sorry?
The Vintners.
The Vintners. No, wait, what? Get in here now. Away from the vineyard. Let's have a talk. You have to see my father.
Oh, cheese? There's wine and cheese, I'm sure.
The guy, the original speaker looks at you, rolls his eyes in disgust, and turns off and walks into the copse, and the other five that were with him come to.
It is rather strange, I say to my companions as we follow, that they sent us here and we've travelled across the entire countryside only for them to turn around and tell us to get lost.
Well,
yes, and no wine or cheese.
If you remember, the reason that Erwin has sent you here is because he had lost contact with
his
father.
dad.
Yeah.
Oh, so his father's in there, yes.
You haven't heard from him for a while.
But that's why we came, and now they're telling us not to look for him. I wonder if this is a rival faction.
No, they're asking, we're supposed to follow them into the bushes, right? Is that now we wanted?
Yes.
Yes, but there are 6 of them and only 4 of us.
But they are magpie vintners. I think we can trust them.
Mm. And we do have a McRag.
That's true.
We can throw him at them.
We can follow them cautiously.
Yes.
Okay. So they lead you a good distance into, it's quite a large collection of trees. They lead you a good distance in, and you can see, it opens up into a very small clearing inside the trees, and you can see that there's a lot of belongings here. Now, obviously, this is not where you'd normally expect someone to be living, but you can see a lot of familial belongings have been carried here in like sacks, or there's one cart that's been filled up. There's a couple of children running around, but they're looking tired and worn and worried. It's the impression that you get from everyone here. These were magpies, as you suspect them to be, based on their garb and certainly your experience with Erwin. They lead you to an older man who's sitting on a tree stump close to the center of this clearing, and this guy just looks tired. He looks like he's in his maybe late 50s, early 60s. And the younger man who had beckoned to you originally, he says, Father, we found these strangers almost making their way to the winery.
Yes, we were sent by Master Erwin from the Blue Water Inn to find his father. Would you be that gentleman?
So the old man, at the sound of Irwin's name, I said earlier he was looking really tired. At the sound of Irwin's name, it seems to light a fire within him, and he stands up, and it's just a wave of rage crashes across his face, and he spits to the side, and he says, "Irwin, that good-for-nothing son of mine. I told him a long time ago I want nothing else to do with him. Why would he have sent someone like you here?"
We hate that guy too.
Yeah, he is a bum.
Lord Talfrin pauses and maintains his composure. And then he said, he was worried that you had stopped responding to him and thought that something ill might have befallen you. And then he searched the land for the finest heroes that he could find and settled on us. We have journeyed far, crossed many perils. We've seen things that you would not credit.
And done things that we are not proud of.
Yes, especially Kellic over here. Did you know he once broke into a woman's bedroom and
Maybe no details.
Yes, there's no reason.
Yes. The point is, we've had many adventures getting here, and it seems that you are well, so we can return to Irwin and tell him not to fret. Good day to you, sir.
I do return to Irwin, but do not tell him things are well, because I doubt he'll ever get a delivery from our winery again, and neither will anyone else in Barovia.
Wait, this is your winery?
Not only is this my winery, this is the only winery in the valley. Barovia is about to become a dry and even more depressing place to live.
But why? What's
happened? This is a catastrophe.
We are very
It's a catastrophe, and that son of mine is the one who started it all in the first place.
What happened? Master Suna's asking. What happened?
Yes.
Should we discuss this over a cask of wine?
And the old man, he gives a bark of a laugh, and he says, "If I had any wine, I certainly wouldn't be sharing it at the moment. There's nothing to celebrate. The winery is lost. We'll never get it back."
There, my good man.
Yeah, Kellen, read the room.
But it has been overrun and taken from us.
Oh, by what? Some magical creature that has sapped the very vitality from the land, ensuring that no grape will ever grow wholesome and tasty again?
What do you know about the grapes? He looks at you with a bit of suspicion.
Actually, if you want a grape man, you should speak to this roguish rapscallion here. I point at Jean.
Yes, I know all the varieties, all 14. Well, there's 16 if you count the hybrids, but 14 we'll say.
He can tell you everything you need to know, but I'd imagine that you already know.
Oh, only red. Like, white grapes, they are not made for wine. That is an abomination.
Well, that's your prejudice speaking, and I'd ask you to keep such biases to yourself. You're speaking to an educated vintner here. Don't want to offend him, do we?
Well, the Trebbiano is not a bad grape, It's a pale, sort of luminous globe. I appreciate it. So yes, what has sickened your vine, sir?
It's nothing to do with my vines being sickened. It is all to do with the druids and their beings that they've summoned from the woods that have taken the winery from us. We have been attacked, and finally we have lost.
Do the druids want wine? Couldn't you sell it to them? Was this a breakdown in negotiations?
Or were they
I have no idea what they want. All I know is that over the years, the winery has become weaker and weaker, and it was only a matter of time before some being or group of people managed to take advantage of our weakness, and finally that day has come.
Wait, but if your grapes are growing less potent, how does that stop you from defending the winery? Unless you can only do so while inebriated?
None of that's important right now. The most important thing is the fact that there are druids, evil druids, and they're tree creatures. They have taken my family's home from us. And because they have done that, every single person living in this place will suffer.
I kill druids for breakfast, especially when I'm thirsty.
That's Kellic for you.
The big man has spoken. So tell us more about these creatures. What are their weaknesses? Music?
Are they servants of Strahd?
Are they servants of Strahd? They certainly paint themselves that way. They worship the man. If I should call him a man.
That's not good.
No.
That's a definite strike in my books where I'm from, which is now, unfortunately, Barovia.
Yes, from what I gather, they believe that he has such control over the land that they worship him as if he is the land himself.
Yeah, they should go spend time with the Vistani and have a Strahd party.
Is that some kind of joke?
There was an attempt at it. You didn't laugh.
There was purr.
Yeah. No, you didn't have to say it out loud because you didn't laugh.
So this is the thing. Let's cut to the chase here. If we were to help you be rid of these druids and their awful tree monsters, what might sort of compensation could we hope to?
I have no compensation to give you.
That's a bad sales pitch.
Yes, that is not a good bargain. So you would.
Do you believe, sir, if you if you were to be rid of the druids and their tree creatures, that you would be able to save the winery and replenish the wine supply trade?
It depends how much damage they have done. I would have to inspect it once I get access to my vineyard and my winery again.
So they're in the vineyard? No, we're in a copse near the vineyard. But
that's right.
The vineyard is outside the copse. Are the druids in the main house?
I believe so. Seems like the sensible place to hide, doesn't it?
Well, druids are nature types, aren't they? They might be camping out under the stars.
Right.
The artificial nature of walls may repulse them, such that they would scorn your domicile.
Right, your knowledge of druids is fascinating.
Thank you.
I don't think he's really fascinated. I just want to know. I think that's sarcasm.
No, I can read a man.
Really? I just don't think so, based off the questions you're asking. So, sir, how about this? If we help you out, what about a stake in the land? You know, I've always wanted to own a little plot, especially some vines growing, like, say 10%.
John, I put my hand on your shoulder and I say, the common folk, often where I come from, saw me as a hero of the people. This is something that we may do just so that they will continue to look up at me. I look over at the other guy, at the father, and say, I am the Lord where I'm from, and I'm used to a certain amount of deference. Perhaps we can agree that if we clean this land of the druids, that you will act in a more obliging manner.
If you're able to...
So we're doing this for free.
If you're able to clear the land and give me my home back and my family's home back, certainly, I would behave differently to you. You'll forgive me, though, if I doubt this is something you will be able to achieve.
Oh, no, I don't doubt. I understand. I don't place myself above you, despite my obvious qualities. I understand that you're bitter and living in a bush. But we can, at the very least, I look amongst my friends, go and take a closer look at this residence and maybe have a word with the druids and tell them quite sternly to be off. Agreed?
Yes, and also we have Firebolt for their tree creatures.
There is that small matter. I can be persuaded to use it if necessary.
So Master Sunna looks at the did he even mention his name? The speaker.
You've not asked me my name yet.
Daddy.
My name is...
I'm not calling you Daddy.
My name is Davian Martikov.
So close, Davian. Daddy.
Master Sunna.
Daddy Magpie.
How about we go and check out your vineyard and see whether we can do something about this plague of druids and tree creatures. And if we...
For a nominal fee?
No, not for a nominal fee. Jean, we're trying to work towards you so that we can all have a drink of wine.
I just want to say that you two are the worst with money. You have guaranteed someone 500 gold. You have made no gold. And when I try to make us any gold, you say, no, let's do it for free. So I have to write more songs. It's madness.
But Jean, would you like to have a drink of wine in the near future?
I would like to have a barrel I would like to have an embarrassment of wine. I would like to have a gutterful of wine.
Then let's go and help these poor people.
Yes.
All right. Let's go make no money again.
So I turn around, I give a lordly bow, and then I make one of my companions are ready and lead us back down to the vineyard.
Okay. So
so do we head towards the house? Or?
Yes. Once we're out of earshot of the magpies, I turn to my companion and say, it's my suspicion that there's more going on here than he represents. He is far too bitter and nasty an old man to be totally credited.
You mean that he's probably hiding a great amount of gold somewhere?
Possibly, but also perhaps he was oppressing his vineyard in some way that provoked the druids, or maltreating his grapes that, arouse their wrath. I say we go speak with the druids.
How does one abuse a grape?
Or tread it underfoot, whatever. Okay. I say we go have...
And now he's living in a bush?
Well, that's his downfall, right? Let's go speak with these druids and get their side of the story.
You're very cozy with the druids all of a sudden. So let me get this right. We're doing this for free. We're going to go in there and ally ourselves with them, and then... What are we doing?
We're not exactly allying ourselves. We're just simply getting their side of the story before we incinerate everybody.
Oh, okay, I see. We're doing some family counseling. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. Perhaps you can play a ditty. Come up with one real quick as we go over. Talbot starts walking.
The old man had another bad idea, and now we're all going to die. But at least it's going to be for free, and now I'm going to cry.
I give a little golf clap over my shoulders. Says, you can do better, Jean. Put your back into it.
No, I need a drink.
I'm going to follow at a very distant distance.
No, you're not. You're right up front, McGrag. Come on.
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am.
What is your plan? You're just going to watch us die from the
You guys
meadow?
can take care of the free stuff. When all of you are slain, then I can do it for money.
I have to say, he makes sense.
So, but I mean, how are we? Where are we? Are we in the vineyard, or
you're
on a road towards?
I'm going to assume that
you're
you're slightly just within the edge of the copse of the trees, or you've walked away from the were-magpie people. So.
Okay. So how about we try and get the lay of the land, sort of stealthily sneak up to to wherever these druids are, probably around the main house, and see how many druids actually are there, and if we encounter these weird tree creatures on the way, then maybe sneak around them and not engage in outright battle.
Crit Faced is a weekly Dungeons & Dragons podcast. To make sure you never miss an episode, and to get an exclusive prequel episode of the podcast where you can find out what our characters were up to before this adventure began, head over to critfacedpodcasts.com and join our Crit Faced fan group.